In the remote outskirts of Sydney, there's a 12-acre restricted zone, a place where the human bodies are left to decay in the open. One of them belonged to a 6-foot-tall person. It was placed inside a metal cage to prevent any interference from animals or insects. But the results challenged everything we thought we knew about death. Because the body not just twitched, it kept moving. Not for a few days, but for an entire year. And at one point, its arm lifted and froze halfway in the air. This is fourth case file in Dr. Diary, and tonight we will open it. Human bodies are machines that work on a natural set of principles, very similar to a computer. Just like a computer program, biology too has its own code. And that code isn't perfect, it has flaws, little loopholes nature has left behind. And sometimes, doctors use those very flaws to fight diseases. Take penicillin, for example. It doesn't kill bacteria with force. It simply blocks one tiny enzyme, the enzyme that helps bacteria build their protective cell wall. Without that wall, they can survive. That's how medicine works, not by overpowering nature, but by finding a flaw in its design. This way, we exploited loopholes in bacteria. Human body also has a lot of loopholes that can be exploited to bring a change. For example, the brain talks to the body with electrical messages that are carried by nerves. To transmit this signal, tiny channels open, which let charged particles rush through. Now, if we block these channels, the transmission completely stops, and that's how local anesthesia works. Block those microscopic gates, and the brain doesn't get any electrical messages from the body. But here is where it gets strange. What happens after a person dies? You see, death is not a switch which you can just turn off. It's a process, and sometimes the system glitches. After death, even if the brain and nerves shut down, the muscles themselves can still hold a bit of ions, waiting just beneath the surface. And with those leftovers, sudden spike can occur, which means muscles can still contract. That's what we call idiomuscular contractions. But this was a little glitch that gave us a small muscular movement. What about big movements, like holding the arm in the air, changing the position, or literally sitting up? Such movements can occur only when big loopholes are exploited. What actually happens after that? Does the body start decomposing right away? The answer is no. First, metabolism stops. Without energy, the body can't maintain heat, so it begins to cool down. We can literally estimate the time of death by measuring body temperature. The body cools about 0.4 to 0.7 degrees per hour from 37 degrees Celsius. What happens next is often misunderstood by people. In movies, we see dead bodies as light and flexible, that can be carried easily on shoulders like a sack. But in reality, the dead bodies are stiff, so stiff that even fingers can bend. Why would that happen? Why do muscles get hard like stone? You see, muscles need energy to move, even to relax. After that, the body stops producing energy, and therefore, the muscles freeze into place. This is scientifically called as rigor mortis. In many fire cases, victims are found locked in crawling postures. Their muscles often get locked in same condition and even shrink due to the heat. And then the decomposition starts. Humans after death are either buried or cremated. And for most of us, that's where the story ends. But a few decades ago, scientists decided to study what really happens to the human body after death. And for the first time, they saw something that looked straight out of a horror movie. There's a place in Sydney known as the Australian Facility for Taphonomic Experimental Research, a body farm. Here, human bodies are left to decay under the eyes of science. They conducted research for 1 year to study if dead bodies can move. A subject was locked in a steel cage that will block the interference from scavenger activity. And the experiment began. Within the first week, it shook the foundations of forensic science. The right arm of body moved by 20 inches or half a meter. The left arm shifted 8 inches. Legs also slowly shifted over time. And by day 450, the lower limbs had moved more than 12 inches. Naturally, people assume insects or muscle twitches might be the reason. But after 2 months, the insect activity completely stopped. And at this point, the muscles had been completely decomposed. Then came the most terrifying observation of all. The left arm rose from the ground to a 90-degree angle, and the fingers almost touched the chest. So what caused these continuous movements for more than a year? Anaerobic bacteria begin breaking down the tissues, releasing gases like methane, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide, a surprising fact that people ignore. These bacteria don't enter the body after death. They are already present inside you, living quietly in your gut right now. As they feed, gases starts building up inside the body, causing it to expand, and sometimes grow to almost twice its size, making them look like a giant, creating a lot of pressure inside the body, so much that it can either explode or it can cause sudden big movements like shifting, rolling, or even setting up. Imagine the shock of mortician when their customer suddenly decides to take a peek at their own toe tag. In the end, it was the trapped gases that generated the force, enough to make the bodies move in the body form experiment. In cases of animals like frog, pigs, and chickens, the movements can be seen after being separated from their head, because some animals don't need brain to trigger reflex movements. Spinal cord has enough automation in them to cause movements, so you can see them responding like touch reflex, or sometimes animals can even cough and tilt the head downwards after death. Thankfully, this type of reflexes won't occur in humans, or we would have gotten some mythical medieval soldiers on a killing spree without their heads. This is why I love biology, because every time I think I figured it out, it shows me something stranger. Sometimes I forget that I am just a sack of flesh, driven by repeating loops of chemicals and currents. A program running on a borrowed time, written by something we still don't understand.